we just concluded the Foreign Affairs Council. First, we had breakfast on Armenia. We had Foreign Minister Mirzayan joining us, and it's clear we talked about the elections, but also what happens next. Last week, elections delivered a clear message. The Armenian people voted for peace, sovereignty, and closer ties with Europe. Russia's heavy pressure and economic coercion failed to sway the vote. Today, ministers discussed how we can further strengthen Armenia's resilience and economic diversification. The EU is already working on major economic support package to help Armenia withstand Russia's unfair trading restrictions. Our new EU partnership mission in Armenia will soon begin work to help address cyber attacks, illicit financial flows, and other threats. We saw very heavy attacks overnight in Ukraine by Russia once again, and it made it clear that Moscow has no intention of ending this war. The strikes yet again killed civilians and damaged Kyiv's historical cathedral, a direct assault on Ukraine's 1,000-year-old heritage. The strike also exposed the absurdity of Russia's claims to be the defender of Christianity. There's no military logic to these attacks. On the battlefield, Putin's war has reached a dead end, so Russia is increasingly striking civilians. Ministers were united that we must stay on course by supporting Ukraine and increasing pressure on Russia. And we continued doing that. Today we approved another batch of sanctions that will strike at the heart of Russian industrial military complex. The Shadow Fleet and also the hybrid warfare networks. We also adopted new listings targeting those who seek to destabilize, undermine and threaten Moldova. In parallel, ministers were clear that the work on the broader 21st package of sanctions must swiftly advance. Every measure shrinks Russia's room for maneuver, and the numbers speak volumes. Western sanctions have already cost Russia an estimated 1 to 1.3 trillion euro. These euros are not spent on waging war on Ukraine. Increasing the pressure also means isolating Russia internationally. As Russia bombs cathedrals, Europe should not roll out the red carpet for Russian artists and athletes that support Kremlin's war. Culture and sport should not be a tool to whitewash aggression. Later today, Ukraine and Moldova will take a decisive step towards joining the European Union. Opening the first chapters of EU accession negotiations is a major milestone. Both countries have delivered on difficult reforms under extraordinary circumstances. Ukraine and Moldova's future lie in the European Union. Their membership will make also Europe stronger. On the Middle East, the announcement by the United States and Iran of a deal to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz marks a potential breakthrough. It can give much needed space for deeper negotiations on Iran's nuclear program and other critical issues. The toughest phase of the talks still lies ahead. In recent days, I have spoken to my Iranian and Gulf counterparts. Today, EU foreign ministers discussed how EU can be closely involved in the next phase. From economic leverage to nuclear expertise, the EU stands ready to contribute to a sustainable resolution. Ministers commended the diplomatic efforts of the mediators, especially Pakistan and Qatar, and regional partners which made the deal possible. Lebanon has seen escalation in fighting in the recent weeks, and the EU has approved €100 million assistance package for the Lebanese armed forces to strengthen state authority and support disarmament of Hezbollah. We are also advancing work on the new EU mission in Lebanon. In Gaza and West Bank, the situation remains dire. Last month, ministers agreed on sanctions against extremist Israeli settlers and Hamas figures. Many member states have also proposed to sanction Minister Ben Gvir, but no consensus on that was reached today. On the issue of trade with illegal settlements, many member states called for proposals from the Commission. I will convey this request and ask the Commission to prepare, ahead of the next Foreign Affairs Council, a list of options for possible trade measures, including measures aimed at preventing imports of goods originating from illegal settlements. We will also seek the Commission's assessment on the scope of the issue related to the rules of origin. And lastly, on China, from distorting subsidies, growing trade imbalances, and a near monopoly of critical raw materials, the list of issues remains long. Reducing dependencies with China won't be easy or cheap, but it's necessary and urgent. Some member states have called on the EU to use our trade tools more forcibly. Today, ministers focused on the foreign and security aspects of our relations with China. Beijing remains a decisive enabler of Russia's war against Ukraine, and in response, we sanctioned several Chinese entities today. We have also now verified reports that the Chinese military has been training Russian military personnel to fight in Ukraine. We are carefully assessing the implications. Furthermore, ministers discussed countering China's disinformation activities and strengthening European defence supply chains. On the Indo-Pacific, ministers reaffirmed that the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea clearly defines lawful conduct and serves as a foundation for security in the region. All those issues require pragmatic dialogue with Beijing. There was unity among ministers that we will defend European interests. And later today we will also hold EU-Egypt Association Council. Actually, it's right after this press conference. But before that, I take your questions.